Holy shit, what a crazy press conference. Sorry I didn't get this out to you guys last night, but I had to let it simmer. I had to let it sink in before I gave you my thoughts. Now, Colby Covington pulled no punches. He went after everything. He even said something that I think crossed the line. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, but to sum it all up, I think Colby just got into Leon's head. And this could be a disaster for Leon when it comes to their fight tomorrow night.
Ultimate Punching?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ultimate Punching, and I want to thank you for stopping by. Before I get into it, please, it really helps me out if you could hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. Helps me grow the channel, and I appreciate you. So yesterday, at the press conference, he was going back and forth with Leon, and he said the following. He said, "I'm going to take you into the 7th circle of hell, and there we can say what's up to your dad." So for you, those of you who don't know, Leon's father was murdered when he was like 13, 14 years old in London, right? And so when I heard this, I was like, ugh, ick, right? That it's a horrible thing to say. It was so bad that Leon threw a bottle at Colby. He stood up. You know, it looked like he wanted to go fight him. And when the press conference concluded, they were supposed to face off, right? They get in real close. They take the shot, whatever the case may be. This didn't happen. They had to keep them about 15 feet apart because they were worried that Leon would take a swing at Colby. Whether that's deserved or not, you know, I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. But first of all, do you guys think Colby went too far with that trash talk? Let me know what you think in the comments. But one thing I do think, you know, like for me personally, that was a line, right? I hate that kind of stuff. To me, everything is fair game in this whole trash talk business, with the exception of kids and deceased relatives. Like those are just lines that I find it distasteful. Not for me. But that being said, right? Will this affect Leon's performance? That is a major question that a lot of people are asking, that I'm asking myself, right? Because he certainly got under Leon's skin, right? He certainly got a reaction out of Leon. So will Leon be able to get his head right between now and the time he fights Colby? Will this affect his mentality? Will this affect his performance? I don't know. We've seen both sides of this scenario, right? If we look back to Conor's fight with Jose Aldo, all the trash talk that Conor did in the lead up got into Jose Aldo's head, and he knocked him out within 13 seconds of that opening round. But then we also look at Conor versus Khabib. In that scenario, Conor did all the trash talking he could, and it only fueled Khabib. He didn't react. He didn't get a rise out of him, anything like that. Khabib took what Conor was saying as trash talk and used it as fuel to beat the fuck out of him. And so the question is, will Colby's trash talk get to Leon? And will it affect him negatively or positively? If it affects him positively, he can remain calm. He can stick to his game plan. He'll be able to go out there and, you know, do what he does best. Keep that distance, you know, hit him with some kicks, etc., etc. But if it affects him in a negative way, a lot of the times what we see is him rush in, try to make a mistake, you know, use up a lot of his energy in that first, second round, trying to really finish Colby, right? And if he can't, now you've got a guy who's going to take you down, wrestle you, grind you, etc., until you break. And so the question is, which Leon are we going to see out there tomorrow night? Because if Colby I had the feeling that Colby was going to win anyway, just given his pace and his wrestling, right? But if this got to Leon mentally in some way, shape, or form, I think this fight is not going to be as close. Because Leon's going to make mistakes out there. He's going to be emotional. He's not going to be able to fight calculated. He's not going to be able to stick to his game plan. That's kind of how I see this playing out if Colby's trash talk got to Leon in a bad way. Now, a lot of you out there and myself included, hear trash talk like this and you're like, how could the UFC possibly want this guy to be a champion, right? How could anyone be a fan of Colby Covington when he says things like this? And personally, like, again, he crossed the line for me. That's not something that I'm okay with, right? What I will say is that the UFC loves it. Like, Colby is the villain, right? Colby Covington is the villain of the welterweight division, right? So him saying this horrible thing to Leon, right? Him doing all the trash talking, him being hated by a huge portion of the UFC fan base is fantastic from a business perspective. If he goes and he wins that belt, right? Now you have the villain as the champion. You have the villain who's the king. You have the villain who's the ruler, right? And so many more people are going to buy pay-per-views to see the villain get defeated, right? This is storytelling 101, right? There's a good guy, there's a bad guy. The bad guy seems unstoppable, but the good guy with courage and effort and whatever goes and he defeats him. And so because we, you, me, everyone, fans, have some form of emotional reaction to what Colby is doing, that means good business. How many more people are going to buy the pay-per-view this weekend to see Colby get his face smashed in because of this horrible thing that he said? If Colby wins, how many people are going to be buying a pay-per-view to see the villain get taken down by maybe Bilal Muhammad, maybe Shavkat Rakhmonov, maybe Wonderboy, whoever, right? The story is there's going to be the good guy, there's going to be the villain. And if the villain is champion, it makes money, right? If Conor's champion, it makes money. I can't think of other villain types in the other divisions, right? But if there is that sort of villain persona in whatever division, right? Sean O'Malley maybe a little bit. I don't know who in the middleweight division. But if there's that villain character, it's going to make people want to tune in. Either to see him win because you side with him in some way, shape, or form, or to see him lose. So those are my thoughts. Do you think Colby went too far with trash talk? Is there a line? For me, that line is, kids, deceased relatives, but for other people, it might be somewhere else. Let me know what you think in the comments. And do you think this is going to affect Leon's performance? Again, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you guys for stopping by.